The other day I was speaking with a friend of mine who is in a fairly toxic work environment. And we were talking on the phone, so I couldn't see her. And she was describing this environment, and she's thinking about maybe getting another job. And it was just fascinating. It was like we would be talking about where she's at now, and there was a dark cloud in the room. And then I could actually see her smile when she started talking about this other opportunity in a much more pleasant work environment. And I thought, this is a great metaphor for renewal. You know, every now and then we get in this dark cloud in life, and we need to find a way out. And it may not be changing the job. It may just be changing your attitude. It may just be changing, putting flowers in your environment. But we need to renew our spirits. We cannot serve. You can't pour out of an empty pitcher. You can't serve other people if you don't serve yourself. I'm Joe Ty, CEO of Values Coach, and I'm your coach for this course on the 12 Core Action Values. And today we're talking about the last module of service, which is renewal. How do you keep yourself fresh? How do you keep yourself strong enough to be able to serve other people? And you have that comes through renewal, through filling up your own pitcher. And I'll share with you some specifics, suggestions for how you do that. And one, the simplest and maybe most difficult, is make sure you get enough sleep. The average American today is chronically sleep deprived. And it's really hard to keep your attitude up and to be positive and to be cheerful if you're sleep deprived. Now, back in the days, I don't know how they did this, but someone did a study. Back in the day of 1776 in the American Revolution, the average colonist was in bed about 9 hours a day. When's the last time you spent 9 hours in bed? In 1976, 200 years later, that was down to 7 3/4 hours. And the most recent study shows it's down to 7 hours and 15 minutes. So we've cut a half hour off in the last 20, 30 years. Now that may not seem like a lot, but experts in sleep tell us that sleep deprivation accumulates, and you develop what they call a sleep debt. And so if you miss an hour a night for a week, that is physically about the equivalent of pulling an all-nighter. And you know how draining that can be. So turn off the TV, go to bed, get some sleep. You know, try to clear your mind before. Ray Kroc, founder of McDonald's, used to, when he'd go to bed, he would visualize all of his worries on a mental chalkboard, and then he would erase them mentally in his mind, and he would go to sleep. And a lot of very successful people have little rituals like that. And that gets me to the second thing that you can do to help renew your spirits, and that is have rituals. I just finished writing the manuscript for a new book called All Hands on Deck. It's about how to build a culture of ownership in an organization. And in researching for that book, I studied some of the people who founded the built-to-last companies that really had that kind of culture. And it was amazing how many of these great business leaders used the power of ritual. Tom Watson at IBM had the IBM Fight Song, and all his salesmen got together and sang that song. Mary Kay Ash had the ritual of the bumblebee pin. Lots of rituals at Mary Kay. Sam Walton, the Walmart cheer. Texas Roadhouse. If you have ever eaten at a Texas Roadhouse, every shift they stop and they have what they call the alley rally. They get all the employees together and they do a 2-minute pep rally. And that's a great metaphor. You know, if you have little rituals in your own life, things that can help respark that spirit of enthusiasm. Light a candle. I have certain music that I play if I get myself into a blue funk, and it helps to bring me back up. And the third thing that I'd suggest is, and for me it's a bigger ritual, and that is reconnect with nature. You know, at least once a year I've got to go out to the Grand Canyon. That is my way of renewing my spirit and it's surprising. When I go, I do not take a briefcase with me. I don't carry around a briefcase, but still it's probably the best 1 week of business ideas that I ever get because I'm not thinking about it. I let my mind clear. And I'll tell you, my least favorite city in the whole world is Las Vegas because it is so much the opposite of a place like the Grand Canyon. It is so plastic and superficial. I know I'm insulting a lot of people whose favorite vacation spot is Las Vegas, but every now and then, go to Yosemite. Go get out in nature, even if it's just a walk through the park. Get out in nature and reconnect. It's one of the best ways to renew your spirit. Now let's get off of you and talk about how can you helping other people help you renew yourself. I wrote a book called Never Fear, Never Quit years ago, and there's a line in there I think of as Rafe's Law, because a character named Rafe said it. And it says this: whatever you most need in life, the best way for you to get it is to help someone else get it who needs it more than you do. If you need money, help somebody else make money. If you need a job, I used to counsel people who were out of work, and I would tell them, spend 4 days a week, all day, trying to find yourself a job. Spend 1 day a week, all day, helping other people who are out of work or who don't like what they're doing find another job. And I guarantee you, 10 years from now, you will say that one day I spent helping other people was the most helpful to me in my career. And you know what? That's what's happened. I hear back from people. Yeah, I helped someone find a job, and 10 years later, they helped me find a better job. If you help, something in the All Hands on Deck book, there's a principle that says, help one, help two. If you ask someone else for help, you're helping two people. If you reach out to help somebody else, it helps you as much as it helps them. When there is a helpful interaction, both parties are renewed in an important way. And finally, in the workbook on this module, I talk about mental models. And one of the things that is most important to renew is your own mental model. You know, there is a tendency for us to start seeing the world as a place of scarcity, start seeing the world as a place that is threatening. That's sort of human nature. Psychologists tell us that. And if you see the world as a place that is scary and a place of scarcity, that's essentially what you're going to create. And that's where the people who talk about abundance mindset really have it right. And you have to stop every now and then and revisit and refresh and renew your own mental model. And that includes your model of yourself. Because the one thing holding you back more than anything else is your own self-limiting beliefs. You cannot pour out of an empty pitcher. Every now and then, take the time, step back, and fill up that pitcher. Now, we're about to wrap up this core action value, service, number 11. We've covered the first 11 core values in our course on the 12 core action values. If you really take these values to heart, you're going to become the kind of person who has influence on others, the kind of person who sets a good example for others, the kind of person that other people look up to. In other words, a leader. And leadership is a value when it becomes not just something you do. Management is a job description. Leadership is a life decision. That's core action value number 12, and that's where we're going from here. I'll see you then.